Amidst the corn and soy just south of Newton, Iowa, sits one of the fastest short tracks in America. The NORC iRacing Series is live tonight from the virtual Iowa Speedway. Welcome to the virtual Newton, Iowa. Emerson Arden, Joe Donahue, and Trey Shuttlesworth are alongside this evening. Glad to have everybody here and ready to go flag to flag in just the second short track race of NORC Season 13. Will tempers flare? Do we finally see these guys rough each other up? Or will these guys play nicely as everyone honestly needs to start setting themselves up for the NORC iRacing Series Season 13 chase? Thanks so much for joining us here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. So glad to have you all watching along. Emerson and Joe, thanks for joining me today as we look down upon the layout of this 7/8 mile short track. D-shaped oval, it's almost a little bit of a bull ring. Now, it's only 12 to 14 degree progressively banked. What that does provide us with, though, is fast, multi-groove, slide job, crossover racing. So can short track ace Chad Oxendine potentially pull away from the field, or do we maybe even see a brand new winner this evening, Emerson?
You know, Iowa Speedway, it is a short track, but with that progressive banking, like you said, the multi-groove racing, it drives like a whole different short track. This is a lot of fun. It's not all about just getting to the bottom. You can really make some hay on that top side. And then as far as your question goes, I think we have a very good chance of seeing a new winner tonight with Jared Darling, Will Klein, David Shutt, Tommy Gossett, Hayes Booth, the top 5 in practice. Just a lot of names up there that we don't know, haven't normally associated with the top spot this season. And it'll be very interesting to see what happens here at Iowa Speedway.
I think the first thing for drivers to be wary of with this track is going to be obviously the bumps, turns 1 and 2. If you're familiar with the Iowa Speedway here on iRacing, or even in real life potentially, you'll know that there's a lot of bumps that just jar these cars tight and loose. It really depends on how you hit them. In that very top lanes, you'll see drivers try and stay a little ways off of the wall, but when you get down to turns 3 and 4, you've got to be up on that white wall. You've got to make the most of the pavement. You've got to get a run for the 10-degree banked front stretch, not a front straightaway by any means. It's also worth mentioning that that yellow track here, well, not track, but that yellow path, if you will, here on our track map, that always shows us where the pit lane is. And the reason it takes so long for it to rejoin the track on the backstretch is because these drivers have to be careful not to merge back into the racing line too soon. If they do, they'll get themselves a penalty, and we've seen this take drivers out of fantastic finishes before. We could see it happen tonight. You've got to wait quite a ways down that backstretch before you move up the racetrack, but that out of the way, let's take a look at our standings here. Joe Donahue, a lot changed last week at the iRacing Super Speedway, and if you look from 9th on back to 17th, they're only 20 points apart with that Chase cutoff line in the middle.
Yeah, it definitely had a shake-up last time at iRacing Super Speedway. A lot of drivers who were up at the front end ended up into incidents and sorts, and just some bad luck going around. Some good luck, too, for drivers like Ashley Molyneux, obviously. But some of the guys you look at, like Zoltan Hertzeg, obviously was in a shot to have a very great finish, and things unraveled at the very end. So there's a lot of other guys in the grid who had the same ordeal happen, but just goes to show, you go to a different racetrack every week with these guys, and they're all coming out strong. They put in their practice. They want to do well, and they do what they got to do to get technical, get smart, and be able to come out and compete against everybody else. And while there is 28 points in between Falkingham and Hertzeg up at the top end, that's not huge, and even further back it gets tighter and tighter. So that race to the cutoff for the playoffs is absolutely huge, and it's something all these drivers are going to think about until the end of this race.
It's something these guys have got to be on top of. You look at guys like Daniel Zoltan, even David Shutt, Chad Oxendine, of course, they're quite a ways above that line. Not out of the woods just yet, by any means. They're not locked in just yet. But they're certainly quite a ways further ahead of guys like John Barry, Will Klein, Aaron Smith, Spencer Owens, everybody else who's much closer. In fact, 20 points or less above that line. I think you've got to start to worry about it. You've got to start, not to panic, but certainly be concerned to make the most of well, points this evening. And then you look at guys like Scott Shire, Tyler Justice, Howie Briss, Zach Lindgren. Guys are starting to fall back. Even Tommy Gossett, Elijah Gracia, Hayes Booth. They've got to get something going this evening. They have got to make this the start of a new trend for themselves. And we'll see that reflected on our power rankings that we post on social media. We posted today's power rankings coming into this evening. I'll direct you over to Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for that. But certainly these guys have got to start an uptrend. Somebody who has done that is Sheldon Locke. He comes into night 13th in the points, 7th in the power rankings, though I do believe he has got something going for him. A very quiet, I'd say, run up the standings in the power rankings here lately, Emerson. So a lot of guys starting to make some moves, and a lot of guys still need to make moves. This is where it starts this evening. We've talked so much of the season about the schedule. Well, here we go. 9 races in tonight makes 10, 150 laps this evening. But then we've got 2 short tracks back-to-back after not having more than 1 in the first 9 races. Things are going to get interesting tonight and next week. The Nashville Fairgrounds, that will be something. No, not the Nashville Superspeedway just yet, but the Nashville Fairgrounds for 175 laps. That will be rough and tumble.
Absolutely. Again, back-to-back short tracks. If there's anything that transpires here tonight, you can be sure to see that kind of carry over into next week as well. Just very, very good opportunities to maybe ruffle some feathers, if you will. And Auto Club and Dega. Kind of breaks in the short track action before we're back to another short track at Martinsville after a couple of Dega races, and then Road America and the run to the playoffs of Atlanta and Daytona. I am so excited for this, second half of the regular season, if you will.
Absolutely, and just looking over the schedule as a whole, this is the most short tracks we've had on a NORC iRacing series schedule in a long time. So certainly, I think Iowa is a racetrack that these guys have got to get right tonight to start a trend, not only for the playoffs, not only for the chase, but also just to master some of these other races coming up along the schedule. Of course, we don't have a short track, on a pavement short track in that chase, but we do have that dirt race at Bristol that is really going to shake things up. We'll have to wait and see how things go. As practice runs down, though, just a few minutes left, we'll take a step aside. I'll be right back to you momentarily with qualifying coverage from the Iowa Speedway. Don't go anywhere.
Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
Welcome back to the virtual Iowa Speedway. Practice wrapping up, just about a minute left on that timer for these drivers to set their preliminary lap times. Certainly not to qualifying just yet. That's where things are going to start to matter a whole lot more, but still, these guys have an opportunity to get used to this racetrack, get accustomed to one another, and get an idea of how this race might go for them this evening. While we wait on these guys to run out the last few moments of practice, I want to give a big shout out to everybody out in the YouTube chat. Noticing a lot of you guys checking in. Of course, Logan Detweiler out there, King Tigers as well. We've got OSCS Racing Network, You know, I have to mention it just because it's a unique name, Booger Speed Shop. Hey, fair enough. That's a unique name there on the NORC YouTube chat. We've also got Marcus Riggle out in our chat. Want to give a big hello to him. Hope he's doing well. King Tiger's over there as well. So a lot of great people checking in this evening. Big shout out to all of you guys for tuning in. Joe, I do got to ask this evening. We're starting to get down right to the nitty-gritty. We're starting to get down to where things are going to matter a whole lot for this race, and we're getting into this mid-season stride. Is this the race where you think a driver might change their season for the better or for the worse? Or do you think it might be a little further back? We've got Nashville coming up next week, then Auto Club, then the Talladega Duel, so there's still plenty of racing even in this mid-season, but I feel like something for guys that are on the slide has got to change, I feel like, here tonight.
I certainly agree that if you're kind of rolling off a little bit, you're not getting as good of a performance week in, week out as you maybe started the season with. You definitely want to get yourself back in gear. But yeah, I like to think that it's kind of, you could be kind of optimistic and say, you know, even if it doesn't start tonight, you got a couple more races to go. So while I agree, I'd want to start that roll if I was driving one of these cars and trying to make this very competitive playoff field. I would want to start that tonight, but if it didn't end up that way, I wouldn't be too out of it. I'd keep my chin up.
Well, qualifying getting underway, we get a first opportunity to check in and see how some of these guys might do. There's Will Klein. It looks like he's abandoning a run, though. Here's Howie Briss on the Speedway as he runs into, it looks like this should be turns 3 and 4. And up onto the front stretch, here he comes. I believe this should complete his first flying lap. So Howie Briss, no, looks like that's starting his first flying lap. And you see, he's going down to the bottom side. Emerson, this is something we've got to keep up with this evening. Howie Briss goes fastest so far over Spencer Ray. Look at that, Ashley Molino now fastest. But I'm noticing Howie down on the bottom side of this racetrack. I was known for getting up and rim riding, but I think that bottom is going to come in handy today.
Absolutely, and it really depends on how you drive it, I think. If you can drive that inside hard and really make some time on that inside because you are taking the shortest way around the track, it could pay off for you. But if you're going to try that outside and you can just kind of let it ride up there, not really scrub any speed off, that may pay off for you too. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of lines these drivers decide to take in qualifying. Obviously, we know what Briss was doing, but here we go down to turn 1 with Will Klein.
It's going to be interesting to see what they do. I just wanted to throw that in there that Mulinol, Klein, Kirker, Freilich, Pancari up in the top 5 right now. And I wanted to mention on that note, you think about qualifying very hard on the attack on the bottom side. That's where you're going to want to be able to use up those tires. But a really important part to think about is tire strategy throughout the course of a race, that you want to maybe not go too hard on those tires on the bottom side so quick.
Well, Tommy Gossett just went to the top of the board. The 45 last week on the top of the scoring pylon at the end of the race. Now it's the 54 early in qualifying. Still a few moments for these guys to get lap times in. You can see the ticker, the timer atop the ticker starting to roll down. And we also noticed somebody by the name of Femi Olot in the field this evening. Looks like he doesn't have any pro obligations, so he'll jump into that number 18 and he will get out here with these guys and see what he can do this evening. David Schutt, he goes to 4th. I like seeing Aiden Kirker up there, but Ariotti, just as I mentioned it, knocks Aiden Kirker out the top 5. Still some more times coming in, waiting on Chad Oxendine to get out there. Here is, though, the 25 of Terrell Baker. Everybody likes seeing this guy. We'll see what he can do in his qualifying run this evening.
Coming off turn number 2, TCB giving it all he's got, coming off a 2 and down into 3. We'll see what he can do, what kind of time he can keep going here. Jared Darling's gone in the middle of the group now. 6 quick is a little loose for TCB out of 4. That's going to hurt his time.
TCB comes past the line that time, and he goes to 10th quick, and he just rams into the wall right here. So that's going to be the end of it for Terrell Baker's run in qualifying. We come on board now with the 66. Here is Chad Oxendine, that number 66 car, one of the hot shoes in this field coming into this race. One of those guys we're going to be watching all the way through it.
Oxendine across the line. He goes not quite fastest, 9th position, not quite 2/10 off of Tommy Gossett. I think most of the best times are in so far. Right here comes Zoltan Herzeg. While he makes his run here, Emerson, we got to talk about weather this evening. It's very cool, I would say, for the middle of June. 70 degrees in the air, that makes 100 degrees on the track, so it's a bit warm on the pavement itself, but it can certainly be a lot warmer in the middle of a summer day up in Iowa. So not that bad of weather. These guys will be battling the racetrack certainly, but not as bad as it could be.
For sure. I mean, we're not going to be talking about these tires, absolutely being shredded, but, we're still in the we're still, nearly 110 for the track temp. So tire conservation is still going to be a huge factor tonight, especially, not really scrubbing those tires in the center of the corner. Zoltan Herczak continues his qualifying run with about half a minute remaining.
And Zoltan goes up to P2. That's pretty important there. He comes in as the power ranking leader, not quite the points leader. He's still second in points to Daniel Falkingham, who has got to get something going this evening. But to see Zoltan Herczak go up there, lay down a time, that is pretty big. And you know what else? I actually don't see a 20 car this evening. This could change things drastically for our championship picture. I do not see Daniel Falkingham in the field. We'll double check that here in our grid momentarily, but oh boy, the storylines that could come out of this one here at Iowa Speedway. 28 cars getting ready to go for it. Let's take a look through our starting grid for race number 10 of 25. Tommy Gossett grabs the pole, his second pole on the season. The last time he started on pole, he ran pretty well, but he's got to cap off the evening with a win, I think, if he wants to get something going and make it into the chase. Zoltan Herczak, the second position driver in points, will start from second position this evening from the outside pole. You roll back to row number 2, you've got Ashley Molyneux, last week's winner on the inside, and Chad Oxendine, I'd say the best driver so far in short track, starting to her outside. Starting the inside of row number 3, it is none other than Will Klein. He will roll off from 5th after finishing second last week, then David Shutt to his outside. A lot of the big names up front. You see Ariadne qualifying 7th. Jared Darling loves this racetrack, one of his home tracks as well. He's won here before. He will roll off 8th position this evening. Starting 9th, it's newcomer Aiden Kirker with Cole Freilich on his outside.
We find our way back to row number 6. It'll be Brett Pancari and TCB. We'll be starting outside of row number 6. Back to row number 7, it'll be John Barry and Cody Miller, who nearly had a shot to win it last week at iRacing Super Speedway. Can he carry that same momentum here tonight at Iowa? Row number 8, we're going to find Howie Briss and Spencer Ray. We'll find our way back to row number 9. It'll be Josh Robin and Hayes Booth, making the 17th and 18th position. And back to row number 10, Femi Olot will start inside in P19 and Aaron Smith outside for P20.
Roll it back to row number 11. You got Bobby Cheney on the inside in car number 24, and Tom Mercier in car number 68 to the outside in 22nd. Roll back to 23rd on the grid. You got Spencer Owens in car number 12, and Sheldon Lockie in the 69 to his outside. Starting 25th on the grid tonight, the number 89 of Sean Williams, and on the outside, Zach Lindgren in car number 85. Watch him go to the front. 27th on the grid, Scott Schur in car number 4, and Taylor Frey on the outside of this row in car number 21. Rolling back to the 15th row on the grid. There is no 15th row on the grid, silly me. Andrew, we're about to get rolling. I'm getting excited here in the booth.
I'm ready for this one. This should be pretty exciting this evening. Certainly always love this place. Always love coming to Iowa no matter what the occasion. Boy, I'm really looking forward to this. 28 cars lined up to go for it. Now, compiling all of our stats earlier today, there was a lot to comb through, but something that was worth mentioning that I want to preface this evening is going to be the amount of cautions for our caution record. It was 12, set all the way back in Season 1, if you can believe it, when Bobby Zelensky won a 121-lap race. The most we've seen since was 11 in Season 3, then 10 in Season 5. It's also worth noting, Emerson, NORC has not raced here at Iowa since Season 8. Daniel Falkingham won that one, but he's not in attendance this evening.
Absolutely. That just leaves a whole lot of unknowns, I guess, heading into Iowa. With all the updates and then all the time it's been since the last time they've been here, this could be a whole different race than what we've seen. But who knows what we have going up for us here as they run through turn 2 on their second formation lap.
Going to be pretty interesting to watch. I think that's definitely going to leave a door open for a lot of the guys further into the playoff grid that Daniel Falkingham isn't here. This is a great place and a great time to capitalize on that opportunity. So we're going to see how many of those guys kind of put the bullhorns on and get rolling and see how far up they can get into tonight's grid.
As we get set to go for 150 laps this evening, once again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in here on Pit Stop TV. It should be a good one, but we'll turn it over for the best start in iRacing. TCB, take it away.
All right, boys, here we are here at Iowa. Corn here sucks. Can I get a good old corn sucks?
Already contact. Will Klein moves Tommy Gossett up and out of the way. 3 wide down the backstretch. Zoltan Herzeg powers away. Gotta mention, we love Iowa Corn. Our thoughts and TCB's thoughts maybe don't quite align as we come out of turn number 4 for the first time. More contact. TCB actually hard into Cole Freilich in a crash on the front stretch. Howie Briss is in it.
Oh no! And we're getting it started early here. Again, everybody bunched up on the restart. It's gonna have Spencer Ray, Howie Briss going around on the front straightaway, and wild start to this Iowa race. We'll get a replay here.
Yeah, so we'll bring it back up here, and that is such a tough break. I talked to Cole Freilich before this race started. He was really revving to get a good finish after a little bit of bad luck last time, but we're watching the replay here. So there's Cole Freilich in the 15. You've got Gossett in the 54 in the middle. Jared Darling around the outside right here, and Gossett had lost that momentum before, and there's TCB just trying to figure out a way around him, I guess, and then number 6 car around, and a couple guys come into the grid, and unfortunately we're all packed up at the beginning of this race. It just brings in more and more cars.
Yeah, it's so easy to have this kind of thing happen on starts of races. We see it so commonly on the iRacing.com sim. Everybody's going for positions early, and it's very easy to just run into one another. TCB makes a little bit of contact with Cole Freilich. It sets up a chain reaction where Spencer Ray has got to avoid. When that contact is made, he gets help from Tom Mercier, and then Howie Briss goes around in front of the field. It's amazing that nobody hit him. Sheldon Lockey had a face full of that 97 Chevrolet Camaro, so they're very, very thankful that nobody made contact there with the spinning 97. Some cars now pitting out of this first stoppage of action. We've got Cole Freilich and Tom Mercier, Howie Briss, Spencer Ray, Zach Lindgren, Aaron Smith, and even is that Scott Shire back there? It is, in that number 4 car coming down the pit lane. So about 7 or so cars coming down for service.
Yeah, get some early service here. A couple of those drivers, were involved in this incident, and they're going to get their damage repairs, fresh set of tires if they elect to. And others maybe just come in and top it off, or get a fresh set of tires, trying to help out any kind of strategy calls they could be able to make later on in this race.
Yeah, I was going to mention, there's obviously the guys who got some damage who want to get that repaired, but this is a really great opportunity for some of those guys at the back to kind of go off strategy a little bit, prolong the amount of time you need until you have to come back into the pits, and just get topped off and ready to go for another run here. It could pay off. There's always the chance. So if you're strategizing, whether you're the strategist in the car or outside of the car, this is just an opportunity to make yourself a little different than those guys up front and maybe see if it pays off by the end of these 150 laps.
To see these drivers pacing around, it looks like we'll complete one more lap under caution flag conditions. What do you say then we take an opportunity and talk with somebody that's already made a bit of a headline this evening? Let's properly talk to him this evening. Had such a great run at iRacing Super Speedway last week. Of course, it is the one, the only TCB. Now, for more reasons than one, we got to talk to this guy. And TCB, you were in the middle of all that there on the start. What happened?
I'm not really sure. Me and Cole were trying to... There's no beef, nothing, no static or anything like that. I just know I was 3 wide with Brett, and I was expecting him to come up a little bit more, so I gave him a little bit more room. And I don't know if I got tight for being behind Tommy or not, but just came up and hit Cole, put him in the wall, and I guess caused a whole debacle there.
So a bit of right side damage early, but it shouldn't hold that 25 car back, and certainly not much could hold you back last week. How is the prep different after such a great run last week, but obviously you want to come back from the eventual finish?
Well, obviously different track, but the way different type of track. I'm actually pretty decent here, I do recall. But yeah, I definitely can't go slicing and dicing through traffic. I'm just going to try to hang back, feel through these tires here, and then try to make a charge later on in the race.
All right, buddy, anything interesting before we let you go?
I appreciate all the Pit Stop TV fans watching, everybody watching, all TCB Nation, baby. We're going to try to get this W today. Yeah!
The TCB going to try and get back at it here. He's restarting 12th. This is going to be lap 6, coming to lap 7 once we get this race back underway. The field of 28 has rejoined themselves. It looks like Cole Freilich maybe not in this field. There he is. He's coming out of the pit lane, so he will rejoin the field as we get set to go once more. Still 140 some on the board. Let's drop that green flag one more time. Zoltan Herzeg takes it away. This time, much more controlled out of turn number 2 and down to turn 3. You see these guys starting to fan out and all over this racetrack. Will Klein, though, making some headway on the bottom. Emerson, he's coming to you.
Side by side down the front straightaway. Will Klein trying to see what he can do on that inside. Ashley Molyneux goes fastest after that first complete green flag lap of action. Oxendine continues to work his way around the outside as we ride on board of Molyneux. And now Freilich goes fastest with his clean track back there.
Freilich got the purple lap. There's only time will tell who's going to take it next time. Herzeg leads the Thundering Herd out of turn number 4. He's got side-by-side action right behind him. Oxendine and Klein going for P2 right now, and that's what Herzeg needs. He wants to build a little bit of a gap early in this race, and that's just giving him the opportunity with these two side-by-side still.
How about Hayes Booth purple that time? I know Lori's watching. She'll be happy with that. Down to the bottom side of turn number 3, though. Will Klein still working on Chad Oxendine. Now, those two and the leader. So the top 3, really, we're so used to seeing them be up in the front on these shorter tracks. We saw it at North Wilkesboro and even Dover. Not quite a short track. It's kind of in between. We saw them up front at Dover as well. We're used to these 3 being the best on these kinds of racetracks, but what can they do with one another? Will has got to get something going. We keep talking about trying to get momentum on their side. I think this is where it starts for Will Klein. He's got to get a win this season. This might be his best chance to do so yet.
Absolutely. Again, you know, such a great run earlier this season at North Wilkesboro. It'll be interesting to see if he has anything for Herzeg, you know, who's not really pulling away this time. Will Kleinville keeping Oxendine busy here and not really letting him focus on what's ahead of him just yet. David Schutt now, does he have anything for Will Klein there in third?
Schutt on the outside. I got to give some credit to Ariotti rocking P5 right now. Jared Darling putting plenty of pressure on that number 23 machine to go on board down the front straightaway. The top 5 seem to go single file. Maybe Jared Darling trying to spoil the party here and get himself into the top 5 early in this race. Been rocking a pretty good run up at the front end of this grid, train racing pretty nicely as one of them gets into the wall there.
Ashley Molyneux drops back a slight bit there into 3, I'd say. David Schutt, he's in 4th. They're still all just battling, and we're starting to see these guys slide, yaw a little bit out of the corner. That's what we'll see increase throughout the course of the evening. It looks like Ashley may have been the one to catch the wall a lap back, but she's still battling on the outside of Aiden Kirker. Now, I'm glad Joe mentioned Ariotti in that 5th position, Emerson, because that is who we saw be so good, so fast a few weeks back at Dover. I would say Dover is the most similar track we've had so far to Iowa, certainly by a bit of a stretch, but hey, we just haven't had anything quite like it yet, but I know that 23 is going to be good this evening. We saw him good a few weeks back. This could be the one.
You know what, interesting to see, you know, he continues to run that outside lane, especially when he's had the inside open to him, so he's already thinking long-term right off the bat, keep those tires under him. Now he's under a little bit of pressure from Jared Darling, and he's just continue to rock that outside, again, keep the tires under him, and not really let Darling affect him too much or put any pressure on him.
Yeah, and that's crucially important at a track like this. Even with that big bump in turn 1 and the way the banking is progressive, all of the aspects of Iowa Speedway make it a very technical, oval racetrack, and I've always thought being the leader at the very start of the race doesn't necessarily mean much. It's just about being a smart driver. And I think right now Ariotti is proving that obviously the 23 is hooked up and being intelligent about what is rocking that team on tonight. But Will Klein, we're on board with Will right now in P3. Pretty solid run right now. You can see Will's just kind of trying to take it easy a little bit here, running the bottom side obviously behind Oxendine and Herzeg, but just trying to kind of get through these first couple laps and hopefully set up a good strategy to move forward in the rest of this race. There's plenty of time left. You don't need to be the leader on lap 17. You need to be the lap leader at lap 150.
I got to explain some of my, my thought process, I guess, behind comparing Iowa and Dover. Well, they're both around a mile. In fact, Dover is a mile. Iowa's just under a mile, but they're both rhythm racetracks. You've got to find the fine line that works for you. Now, this is a bit more multi-groove, of course, than Dover, but you've got to find the line that works for you. You've got to make the most of it, and you pop up out of the corners kind of onto the straightaway, definitely at a turn number 2, and actually, that's something that we've got to make note of here, Emerson. That backstretch at Iowa always feels like it sits a lot higher than it maybe should. You can see they come up off of the hill. It's so weird coming out of turn number 2 and then dropping into 3. That in and of itself is a bit like Dover. So there's a couple of characteristics that are like it, but the simple matter of the fact is we've had nothing like Iowa just yet, and Dover is simply the closest because we've had such a diverse schedule. So this is only the closest that we've had. I'm not saying these two are necessarily alike, just that they share a couple of characteristics. They're about the same length, and we've just had such a diverse schedule. This is the closest thing we've had to it.
Absolutely, and when you drive like this track and you come off of turn 2, you don't always know what the car is doing because of that hill, similar to how it is at Dover. If you're loose, you're not finding out until you crest that hill. If you're tight, well, you kind of know going up the hill anyway, but you don't know if you're going to make contact with that wall. And it's almost a guessing game depending on how your car is handling here off of turn number 2, and that's why you can see turn 2 catch a lot of drivers out.
Yeah, that definitely is a part of the track and just a part of the season in general that you got to be careful with. We're riding on board with Josh Robin right now down the inside of Ashley Molyneux. That pass is halfway complete, I'd say. Not completely there as they cross the stripe, but definitely a very important part of the racetrack, especially out over the course of a longer run when those tires kind of get worn out and the drivers are in a rhythm but getting kind of the point where they're ready for some fresh good years on those cars. That's going to be the part of the track you got to watch to make sure you don't make a mistake.
Ashley struggling this evening as you see TCB roll to the inside. Femi just passed her. That 45 is certainly going backwards and going backwards quickly. Last week's winner at the iRacing Super Speedway, a self-proclaimed short track lover and certainly one of the better drivers in this league on short tracks. It's just not working for her so far this evening. Back into 14th, Emerson. She is dropping like a rock after starting 3rd.
Yeah, when she got that wall off of turn 2 a few laps ago, it's really hurt the car, and if it hasn't hurt the car, it's maybe hurt the confidence. There's a little bit of visual damage right there on the hood of the car on the right front here, and I just don't think that car is to her liking. And then, of course, with that being said, you're probably not pushing as hard off of turn 2 once you get the wall like that. So it's a relatively long race, though. There's still time for her to make a comeback here, but that is a lot of spots to lose early here. It's going to be a lot of hard work to get back up front.
Yeah, definitely not down. Maybe down, but not out, as we got a race lead change at maybe pull in. See, they're side by side, and I can't quite say the pass is made yet, but Hertzeg and Oxendine are side by side down the back straightaway. Will Klein has drafted up to these two as Hertzeg now gets the run up on the top side. They're already working up to that high line. As Hertzeg's going to try to get some momentum, Will Klein maybe follows. Oxendine on the bottom still. Hertzeg leads that lap.
Still side by side, Oxendine down on the bottom side. Zoltan Hertzeg, though, certainly got the preferred line for defense. This is bringing David Schutt back into the conversation as we stay in a lockstep formation. Will Klein now joins up to the outside of Chad Oxendine through 3 and 4. This will complete lap 25, the first, 6th of the race now complete. So 16-17% of the way through this one. We're starting to see this picture about as we would expect it. The top 5, I think, certainly drivers that we could expect to stay up front most of the evening.
Interesting with this battle here for a second at Will Klein looking to power right on by Chad Oxendine as we look from the back end here of Zoltan Hertzeg. Will Klein is cleared to second and to the inside potentially of race leader Zoltan Hertzeg. But I was going to say, well, he is kind of down there, peeking at least down the front straightaway into turn 1. He's not close enough to make a move. But for Will Klein, I think he just needed to get to the outside there. He was trying so hard on the inside, but he could not make it work. Once he got to the outside of Oxendine, it was like nothing. Now Will Klein sets up Zoltan Hertzeg for the race lead as David Schutt enters the picture for a podium.
There's a great race going on right now at the front end of the board, and I think one thing that I always mention, I think it's very crucial to remember, is you have to kind of experiment with your race car throughout the course of an event to see what you're capable of doing, what passes you might be able to make on other drivers. And right now, this is a great opportunity for all of these guys up front, especially David Shutt, sitting P4 right now, but he can watch these top 3 drivers kind of figure out where they like to run on the racetrack, see where he maybe could put his car to get a pass made somewhere a little different than the guys up in front of him. It's a great learning opportunity for them, but a great race for us to watch up in the booth.
Tommy Gossett now battling with Aiden Kirker. Looks like he makes that pass that time by the front stretch. Now into turns 1 and 2 on lap 29, and Will Klein solidly in second, right where he finished last week. He's got the lead in his sights. Zoltan goes down low. Will works up high, and if he can just get a good run out of the corner, he might be able to trap the 96 down there, but I dare say Zoltan might see that coming a little ways in advance. Now you see the 48 right down to the bottom side, and he wants to put that Aardvark 48 atop the scoring pylon where it belongs.
Side by side down the back straight with Will Klein trying to make something happen on that inside. Looks like he prefers the outside as Zoltan goes way up to that third lane, trying to carry some speed off the corner, off of turn number 4. Will Klein's going to get loose. He's going to have to give it up for now.
And it looks like the Joker car number 5, David Shutt, hit a little bit of that outside wall coming out of turn number 4, so that might upset the handling of that machine. Will Klein still putting plenty of pressure on Hertzeg for the race lead up front. They are using these cars up right now, just fighting like dogs up at the front end. Going to the inside again, Will Klein going to try to see if he can figure something out. Moves slightly up into the second groove of the racetrack. Hertzeg with some momentum up top. Not quite going to make that pass, but Will Klein's learning what he needs to do right now.
Now, the last time we were at a racetrack like Iowa, it was actually the Richmond Raceway back in Season 12. Back in, I want to say, earlier 2020, as Klein battles back to the inside of Hertzeg. A couple of drivers that were fast that time out at Richmond in the 1987 Cup cars. Well, Ashley Molyneux was one of them. She finished second to Josh Robin, who's now in the top 10. He's coming up to these guys. He might soon be in this battle for the race lead, as Klein may have almost had a sniff of the lead that time by the stripe. If he can just keep chipping away, he might have something. But what about tires? Andrew Jarvis, one of our buddies, one of our commentators, he always talks about tires. Boy, if he was here, he'd be screaming about tires right now, because using that bottom side, if you're Will Klein, is just going to chip away at him, and he might be screaming for rubber here soon.
I was just about to say that as well. Chad Oxen actually peeks to the outside now of Will Klein, which might relieve some pressure for the moment for Zoltan Hertzeg. I was going to say earlier, that Zoltan Hertzeg, we already know him to already be very good at tire conservation, and he's not even stressing on that outside lane as much, while Will Klein is, trying his hardest to get to that lead. Now he's going to have to give up second potentially. Oxendine now in the position Will Klein was just in with Hertzeg. But taking that tighter radius, you're just scrubbing the tires more. Not only that, you're scrubbing speed, so you're making it harder on yourself to make that overtake as well. And Zoltan Hertzeg, he's just riding high and pretty up there, just holding on to what he's got, holding on to the race lead, defending well, and then not even really pressuring the tires.
Yeah, I think as we get into the longer stage of this run, the top line is the optimal line, and Hertzeg's rocking up top nicely. Will Klein, Chad Oxendine both went to the bottom side in 3 and 4 that time. We're going to see if they dive in low. Hertzeg likes to run in the middle through 1 and 2. Now he goes the whole way to the bottom, so they are willing to use up a little more of those tires, but Hertzeg is very confidently and very well blocking that run that these guys could get by taking that advantageous outside line right now. He goes to the bottom to try to defend a little bit, kind of searching a little bit, seeing what he can do down there too.
Just continuing on our way, it is worth mentioning Aaron Smith has dropped to, well, looks like he hasn't even dropped. He has dropped out of this race, I guess. 8 laps down now to our race leader, and he may not get back out there this evening. So troublesome to see for the driver who's working his way towards the top 10 in points. I believe in the top 10 in points as well. We're starting to open up the pit window, I'd say. Here soon we might start to see these guys think about the pit lane. It's already lap 38, gentlemen. We're getting close to these tires possibly being a little bit, too worn out. And certainly, I think before lap 50, we'll start to see some undercuts from the field. Tommy Gossett, though, he's up into the top 5. Want to recap some of this top 10 as Ariati has fallen back into the 7th. And I talked about Josh Robin being in the top 10 a little while ago. He's now fallen into 11th because Femi Olot has gone by. And look at Femi drive to the inside of Aiden Kirker, the 18 passing the 17.
I was interested to see how Femi Olot would do over the course of the race here. Again, he started back in the 19th position, already halfway up through the field, and working his way forward. Of course, he's not a pro driver for nothing. I would assume he would have been able to work his way forward anyway, but I was trying to see how much time it would take as he now works his way to the 74 of John Berry. Femi Olat looking very sporty right now, and you got to consider, when does he pit? Does he try an undercut, or if this kind of speed, does he maybe stay out a little bit longer?
Yeah, I was thinking about that with our race leader, Zoltan Hertzeg. Obviously, Femi Olat's one to watch right now to see if he conserved a little bit of those tires, but you talk about undercuts, overcuts. I remember Hertzeg as being one of those guys who can just conserve everything that he's got under himself. So maybe Hertzeg goes a little bit long run, tries to maybe catch back up with those guys who pitted on that very early caution flag we had at the beginning of this race. Those are going to be the guys that we're going to watch in just a few laps once everybody else starts coming down the pit lane. All of those drivers will be able to stay out for a handful more, and that will obviously then, once they pit, kind of give us a really good view of what's going on in strategy for running up front in this race. But we got a nice run at the front for the race lead in the meantime.
The thing to keep in mind with those drivers who pitted on that first caution flag is that caution came out of the tail end of lap number 1. They only saved a lap, I suppose, of wear and tear on those tires, and if anything, that lap might have even been good for just getting some heat in the tires, so they fired off a bit better on the restart. So the only gain they're really going to have is going to be in terms of fuel, and it's only going to be maybe a gallon at best if somebody kept the car in low gear through that caution period and didn't save anything. But nowadays, and in stock car racing, saving fuel under caution is everything. So I doubt it's going to be that big of a difference. You might see somebody go a few extra laps, try and get some laps led, but Emerson, I don't think it's going to make a big difference as far as the race outcome. In fact, the highest driver who pitted under that caution is 14th. That's Cody Miller.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe it would be more or less something if a lot of cautions came out at the same time, but maybe that lap could mean something depending on where the pit stops fall, where the pit cycles fall. We'll have to see it play out, but again, it is marginal at best, the advantage he would get from doing that. But look at him here. He's under heavy attack from Bobby Chaney.
Yeah, Bobby Chaney trying to make that pass made, and down on the inside, is it going to go completely? Not quite, but a nice run on the outside for Cody Miller. It doesn't quite get him to the line first, but it gives him a nice run into turn number 1. A little bit of a nice sweeper. He goes around the outside of that big bump in the entrance of turn 1, and they stay side by side through 1 and out into 2.
Zach Lindgren now on the back end of the 28 car, who won at Daytona. Let's keep that in mind about Cody Miller. He's got that win to start off the season. Came down to a last-minute photo finish with Tyler Justice, but couldn't quite get it if you're Tyler. But hey, Cody came out on top. The win is a win. He got some extra points, and he's been up there in the points ever since. But I think similarly to some of the drivers back there outside the top 10, he's got to get something going this evening. He's got to get back onto a good little run towards the chase here, as he now loses 14th, might even lose 15th. Zach Lindgren fighting on the bottom side. Now, one thing I know about Zach Lindgren at Iowa, guys, is he hates this place. Absolutely loathes racing here. Not a big fan of it, but he's got a lot of friends that are pretty good here. I'd say Bradley Wilson, an old teammate of his, even David Levine that he can maybe even lean on for some tips here at Iowa. He's got guys that can help him out, and he's starting to look a little bit north. I'm not going to speak too soon on this guy, but hey, he did get his first lap led in NORC last week at iRacing Super Speedway, and now he's starting to almost crack that top 15, and that would put him into the top half of the field. That's still pretty impressive in and of its own.
Absolutely. It boggles my mind that somebody, doesn't like this racetrack, but that's just me. I really love, running this racetrack. I'm starting to really love short tracks on iRacing in general, but he's running this race as if he really enjoys the track. I'm sure he understands it at the very least, because he's made some decent ground up in this field, and here comes Bobby Chaney on TCB for 13th.
I was going to say TCB was starting to make a look, and now obviously Chaney's going to go down the inside of that car, and they're staying side by side down the back straightaway. But one thing I want to mention in on this, my 2 cents on the issue, I feel like drivers, when they hate a track, it motivates them to run it harder, and I've seen that pay off for guys before. I've seen people win a race, you bring them into the booth, hey, you won the race, and they go, man, I hate this racetrack. So maybe that will pay off for Lindgren tonight. Oh, Bobby Chaney did not give a lot of room to Hayes Booth right there through 1 and 2, but definitely those guys are going to be looking to make up some time here before they get this first pit stop cycle going.
Well, Joe, we've seen drivers win a race in a brand new race car and say they hate the car afterwards. That's Kyle Busch back in 2007. So certainly drivers could succeed and still hate something. But hey, you know, I can understand it. You see a place is challenging and you're just not going to like it, right? If you always have struggles there. But I think at some point that fear's got to be overcome, and it might be starting to get overcome by the driver of the 85. He slides out of turn number 2. He looked to the inside momentarily of TCB, can't quite get there. Now he'll drive to the inside of that Chevrolet Camaro and see what he can do. That's back around the 14th, 15th position. Some other battles around the racetrack. Tom Mercier not so far back of Brett Benkari, but he's got Sean Williams starting to close in. Howie Briss as well, starting to gain on Scott Shire. So that damaged 97 starting to maybe get something rolling for him. And I also noticed Demi Olot, he's still moving forward. He's now to the back end of Ariati, who's getting passed by John Barry.
Yeah, this battle up inside the top 10 could mean something later with just under 100 laps to go now left in this race. John Barry, Ariati, some main names here in this top 10 as Femi Olot has kind of just recently inserted himself into the mix and maybe looking to try to get a 2-for-1 special here into turn 3.
Yeah, we really hadn't talked a ton about John Barry up to this point. Obviously running in the top 10 pretty well. Gets around Ariati now. Gets up into that spot. Secured P7. Femi Olot to the inside. Ariati's going to have to let this one go. Femi to the bottom side. Will be in P8. Trying to get up there with John Barry into P7. Femi definitely conserved a bit of that car and those tires and has a lot more underneath him right now than some of these other guys around him. So that's paying off for that 18 and the whole team right there. They are slowly but surely moving up on these guys.
Another couple of drivers starting to battle here. Tommy Gossett on his way forward. He sat on pole but had that mishap very, very early when he got a tap from Will Klein. He's starting to drive back through these guys to the inside. Yes, very seriously to the inside of David Shutt. He's going to try and take that spot away. Up out of turn number 4. Not quite, but boy, he's chipping away at everybody out here. And Tommy, for a long time, has been grinding at iRacing. Be it in officials, be it in leagues, what have you. He runs a lot of races each week, and he's always just been trying to make his way in the iRacing.com scene. He has been getting better and better as time has gone on. His iRating challenges, the other guys that he's racing with, and a caution flag coming out will halt our progress. We've got some problems back here potentially with, it looks like, if I had to guess, possibly Ashley Molyneux.
Yeah, I caught the back end of it, but there was a lot of action going into turn 1, if you will. We'll get a replay here. And that was a healthy green flag run. I can't imagine everybody who's, ran to this point without pitting will, anybody will stay out here at this point. Everybody's probably coming in for 4 tires here, but we'll see this replay of what happened here.
Trying to pull it up. Oh, there it is. Wow. So Spencer Owens was involved in that as well. The 69, you saw them all going haywire on the front sort of stretch. I'll call it a stretch. We'll get another replay here and get more of a full look at how it started. You saw just cars everywhere on the racetrack, and obviously as a driver behind that, you come out of the corner and all of a sudden you see that as well. That's definitely not what you needed, but it will give all these guys an opportunity for this yellow flag caution to get pit stops.
Sheldon Lockie kind of blended up into, oh boy, Sheldon, he just kind of kept the racetrack at a TCB at first, but that move down the front stretch, that's got to be questioned, I'd say, and I'm sure it will be by several. And I'm sure it'll be a big feature of NORC Radioactive, just you wait. But that is oh so interesting. Emerson, I want to get another look at this. So actually, we've got to back this up quite a ways because Sheldon is doing some pretty hefty battle here with TCB. This is a lap prior. There's where he kind of shoves him up the racetrack once. These guys were really getting heated, and I don't know that they needed to. They're battling for 17th, 18th or so.
Yeah, you see there in the 1, a little bit of a, higher alignment for Lockie going in the 1. You figured a car to your inside would go to the bottom lane, and he got to really, half a lane up on entry. Then here in the 3, this is where things really get feisty and interesting.
Yeah, you got Owens down on the inside, and then Lockie kind of comes up in front of where TCB was. That backs him off a lot, but then more contact going down the front straightaway, and obviously then, more cars piling in trying to get out of harm's way. But definitely an interesting debacle of that lap. But hey, it's short track racing. What more can you say?
That said, of all drivers to incidentally, be intentionally or accidentally turn down the front stretch at Iowa, I don't think Spencer Owens is the one you want to do it to, and I know that one from experience. We're going to watch the steering wheel here on the left side of Sheldon Lockey. About here, he gets maybe a little bit of help. Yeah, you see him correct from Spencer Owens. There's the contact with TCB. He catches the wall, then just comes down, and I don't think that's intentional, but you can't let that happen on what's essentially a straightaway.
You know, there's a lot going on here with these old tires, nearly 60-lap old tires, and heavy traffic, and then the potential bump at the middle of the corner there that may or may not have affected his car throughout the whole rest of the exit. There's a lot going on there, and then it didn't help the extra contact at the end. Granted, whether that was intentional or not, obviously he was trying to catch the car, but it's interesting.
Yeah, I'll give Sheldon the benefit of the doubt there. Obviously, we're getting to the end of that green flag run where those guys were starting to get ready to come down pit lane and get some tires. So I'll give some benefit to the fact that those tires were used up. And I mean, we saw it on that onboard, just how much of that steering wheel was getting worked. And so, it's tough to keep control of these cars as is, let alone when you got old tires. So give them a little bit of credit. But yeah, I mean, you just got to watch your surroundings and be patient, be cool with that car, and try your best to keep control of it.
Pace car lights still illuminated atop the iRacing.com pace car. Want to drag somebody in to talk to that has been moving through the field. And Tommy, that 54 car is looking pretty good this evening. How's the race gone for you so far?
It's been a race. That's all I got to say. Got loose there going into one on the first lap and slid all the way back. And it was just about fighting back there on that long run. Kind of burned my stuff off. Hoping we can maintain this track position this time.
And we saw the start go awry for you, but we've also seen you start to recover just like you did back at Homestead the last time you started on pole. What comparisons maybe can you draw? Why are you successful here just like Homestead?
I honestly have no clue. Homestead ought to put it down to practice, but here I didn't do any laps. I thought I hated this track and I was terrible here, but I guess I proved myself wrong.
While you're starting to move forward, we'll let you get back to it, buddy. Anything you got to say real quick?
Nope, that's it. Fixing to go green here, so.
Tommy Gossett getting after it this evening. He's up to third place for this restart, guys. Got to watch out for the 54 this evening. He'll be chasing after Will Klein and Chad Oxendine, who get the race lead and second place by virtue of pit stops, while Zoltan Herzeg takes 5 extra seconds and drops to 9th place. Restart coming at you. The green flag flies once more. We're back green from Iowa. Down the back stretch to not quite complete lap 62 just yet, but certainly advance it. You see Jared Darling working the top side. Jared, somebody who's oh so good here at Iowa. He's got previous wins here. He constricts that exit for Tommy Gossett, and up out of the corner, he'll take third.
Down into turn one once again, trying to send it down in there to clear, but don't look too soon. Here comes Femi Olot, working the outside here of Tommy Gossett and trying to see what he can do to set up Jared Darling here into 3.
Femi Olot rocked a really nice first run, a very long run, saved those tires, and now at the very beginning of this second run here after that pit stop on the charge, Femi to the outside, trying to keep that momentum going, get into the top 3. On the outside of Jared Darling, goes purple, he does, that time past the stripe, and he's not given Jared any room quite yet. Back on the straightaway, single file, but watch out for him.
Femi is just oh so good. He's proving that this evening. Now working the top side. Maybe can he get there to the outside of Jared Darling down the front stretch? Not quite. Jared closes the door. Oh, he does fight up there. Jared gives him the opportunity into 1, and they will stay now. Well, they will go side by side. It looks like Femi has got something going up top.
Yeah, that was very clean and I guess very aware of his surroundings. Jared Darling was there. He could have easily just, kept that door shut, but he allowed Femi to get to the outside there. And now they're going to continue to do battle here as Will Klein, how fast he was in traffic. He's gotten clean air here. He's not been able to really pull away from Oxendine, and Olot's going to clear himself into third with only Oxendine and Klein ahead.
Yeah, that's a really great point there, Emerson, about Will Klein not really running away with it up at the front end. Meantime, Femi Olot goes to the high side through 3 and trying to get some momentum off the steeper banking and further run around the outside of the track. Oxendine trying to make a look on the outside into turn number 1. They go side by side for the race lead. Oxendine holds a nice line in the middle of the racetrack, top side of Will Klein, and some momentum's going to put the nose of the 66 ahead, and Chad's going to hold it into turn 3, maybe not the whole way through the corner, though.
Well, I talked earlier about Tommy Gossett's success at Homestead and how it might translate to this evening. It's translating certainly for Chad Oxendine, Homestead Miami race winner, but I think the bigger comparison you've got to make is North Wilkesboro to here at Iowa. Two completely different short tracks, but they're short tracks nonetheless. Chad Oxendine up to the point, now leading on lap 68 of 150. Now, Femi Olot working to the outside of that 48 car. The 18 and 48, they've had a long history in NASCAR. They're going at it this evening in NORC, too.
Side by side through 1 and 2. Olot's actually going to have to... Oh, I thought he was going to give up the corner there and try to do something down the back straight, but side by side once again still. Olot not giving up on that outside. Everybody's just kind of letting him get up there, too. You'd think if you look in your mirror and you see that green 18 just making those moves on that outside, you do what you can to keep your car up there. But Femi Olot, job's not done yet with Will Klein, but he's making some huge runs here on this outside. Will Klein putting up a great fight on the inside.
See, you can tell that Emerson Arden knows what he's talking about because he just mentioned something very important. Seeing Femi Olot run the outside like this, I mean, we know it saves you a bit of tire to run the top side line, and nobody else has jumped up there. That car's quick up there. It's going to be interesting to see if anybody tries to take hold of that run and maybe use that same strategy in the next few laps to get more of the rubber weared away on these tires. You're riding off the tail, watching the battle behind Will Klein now side by side, sort of, as we have a yellow flag now coming out on the racetrack. That is the 6 of Spencer Ray around on the front straightaway.
More trouble for Spencer Ray. This time it's pretty big, too. He's got big trouble out of turn number 4. We'll take a look back and try and diagnose this for the driver of the 6. He was battling Ashley Molyneux down the backstretch. This is leading up to it. Almost contact there in a 3. Cole Fralick is sitting back behind this. Gotta wonder what potentially happens. Does Spencer maybe get loose, or does Ashley clear herself? It's the latter, and some contact, and the double whammy takes out Cole Fralick. Hayes Booth gets a piece, even Brett Pancari.
My goodness. I know, the main point of that incident was, of course, the Molyneux and Ray concert. I got to say, what a rough season it's been for Hayes Booth, and it continues to have been. That 11 car has not been lucky. We're right on board here with Hayes Booth, and we'll see how all this unfolds right in front of him. I mean, there's 3 cars right there just right in front.
Yeah, so right in front, immediately, you got the Racing Nation TV number 15. That's Cole Fralick with CFMP Sports. He's riding behind these guys, and Molyneux tries to just slide up a little bit. Spencer Ray's already there, and nothing that Hayes Booth can do. You mentioned it, a tough season so far for Hayes. All these guys obviously trying their best to get some good finishes, but Hayes Booth just kind of unfortunately been succumbed to other people's mistakes in the past couple races, and this is going to add on to it. But hey, maybe down but not out. Maybe this will motivate Hayes to put the afterburners on and get up there a little bit.
Look at how close this could have been for Sean Williams. He was battling with Brett Pancari. Thankfully, he was just on the top side as Pancari got caught up in a little bit of that. It looks like Brett gets away all right, but the driver who's been making some storylines of his own, there we go, certainly grabbing some damage as Spencer Ray. Definitely the worst off in all of that between every driver involved, and I can only imagine that Ashley Molyneux was rather apologetic about that one, I would go to guess. But we're going to take a step away momentarily. We're about halfway here at Iowa. We'll be right back to you with the back half of the race, and you'll not miss a thing under caution from the Iowa Speedway.
SoundArt is a product that is a speaker and it's art. You combine it together, it will call it SoundArt. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? SoundArt gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas, and now it's reaching 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? it's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a unique concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy. Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence.
Thanks for staying with us here at the virtual Iowa Speedway. It's been a fun one this evening. It's been a wild one, certainly. A couple of big cautions as of late, changing things up. And boy, a lot has gone on. I want you to follow us, though, on our social media platform to see each link down bottom of your screen. Let's also talk quickly, Emerson, about the weather this evening. It's not changed too much in the air, but certainly a bit warmer on the racetrack, and I think the tempers are following it.
Absolutely, and tire conservation, if it wasn't a big point of discussion at the beginning of the race, it will definitely be for the second half of the race. Those tires are not going to be happy. They're going to be screaming for some mercy at the end of this race.
And of course, on the other side of weather, you've got race info. How has this race been affected? Well, 3 cautions so far for 13. It'll be 14 laps this time by. Only 2 lead changes, but I'd imagine with Femi Olot starting second place for this one, that is about to change. We'll see how it all goes down for the latest restart. 1/2 of this race complete, plus 1 lap this time by the flag stand. Oxendine with the lead. We're back green. Olot straight to the bottom in 1 and 2. He got there well before 1 and 2, actually. As Will Klein drops back, you see Jared Darling using the top side. And here comes Zoltan Herzeg right back into the picture.
Everybody side by side, and then some 3 wide further back off of turn number 4. And now, here we go to the inside. Tommy Gossett working on Jared Darling. That continues to happen. And back up front, Femi Olot sizing up Chad Oxendine.
Femi Olot still on the tail of that number 66. They're side by side further back behind him. I was wondering if Zoltan Herzeg was going to try to make a big run off of that restart. Didn't quite get there. Still running P6, but definitely plenty of time left in this race. Meantime, at the front, Chad Oxendine leads another lap. Femi Olot getting closer and closer. Might get one of them soon enough.
The Joe Gibbs Gaming driver all over the back end of Chad Oxendine. This the battle for the race lead now on lap 79. Will come around to take a lap 80 this time through. They both go high that time. Now, if you're Femi Olot, of course, you've got to run a line that, well, Chad isn't running if you want to pass him, but he's starting to, I don't know, maybe fall back, give himself a cushion, and I think he'll work back at it later in this run. We saw how fast he was in the long run earlier on, and of course, being a pro driver, running in the eNASCAR iRacing Coca-Cola Series, he will be calculated about it. I'd imagine he'll sit back and be patient.
Absolutely. There's so many laps. 70 laps to go this time by the start-finish line, and he does not have to do anything, drastic. We've seen him go from 19th to 2nd, and here we go. How about back here, Zoltan Herzeg from a bad pit stop under the caution a few cautions ago. Halfway through his battle, up to 5th now as he works on Jared Darling.
Yeah, Zoltan Herzeg got sent back to P9 with a little bit of extra time on the pit lane. He's got Tommy Gossett right behind him right now, but just made that pass. Got up to 6th pretty quickly on that first restart, and now just kind of trying to slowly trek up there. Got a lot of hungry drivers in front of him trying to defend the inside line right now. Jared Darling right in front, and then you got Will Klein in front of Jared. So this is definitely a hungry group of drivers and going to be tough for Herzeg to get around him, but hey, time will tell, and that number 96 is revving to get back up into the lead spot.
David Schutt, Ariadne, they were in this conversation not so long ago. They're back here in 11th and 12th. Oh my, David Schutt sideways up out of turn number 4. Almost caught the wall. They're both trying to pass 10th place Zach Lindgren. It looks like they just might be able to do it this time by getting an edge on the Diecast fans 85, but no, the camo orange and white machine powers back on the inside. Zach won't give that up just yet. Moves up in front of David Schutt, keeps himself in 10th, and look at this. We thought Cole Freilich had some damage. He's still in this. He fights ahead of Cody Miller. He is still very much alive in this race. I was also noticing Terrell Baker had a pretty good restart, but he has fallen to 9th as this guy, Bobby Chaney, has gone on by.
Bobby Chaney, that's a name we tend to say a lot more in the top 10 and, you know, fighting for top 5s later on in these races. Bobby Chaney, look at there, starting 21st, already up to the 8th position. Granted, that's over, you know, half the race down, but there's still time to improve upon that, and we really could be watching this 24 light up the scoring pylon down the left side soon.
Yeah, definitely has had a solid race so far. We talked about Bobby when he was starting to make his way up through the field over the course of that very first long run. And, I mean, it's paid off for Bobby now sitting P8 as it is, let alone the fact that we've got another run here to go. And if it stays long, we could definitely see Bobby make a couple more spots. I know John Berry, Tommy Gossett, these guys are right in front of him, and that's going to make him nervous, but he's going to maybe try to be patient for a few more laps.
The lap starting to wind back down. We'll see if maybe we can get this green flag run going, possibly to where we get some pit stops. We were talking about it towards the top of the show. We haven't talked about it in some 40, 50 laps now, it seems like, but certainly we can see that dynamic come back if these guys go green. Now, I talked earlier, of course, about Tommy Gossett grabbing the pole, falling back, and, well, we've been covering this recovery, I suppose, for Tommy Gossett. It's also worth mentioning Chad Oxendine. He's won the last 2 short track races. Why do I bring this all up? Well, because 5 times in the last 15 short track races, guys, here in NORC anyways, the race winner started from pole. That is 1/3 of the time. That is actually staggering compared to all of the other positions you could start from and win one of these races. Now, while Tommy just lost a spot actually to Zoltan Hergzag, we've seen that 54 come alive on the long run, and he did start on pole this evening. Could he help further that stat, or does he fall back? Well, Chad Oxendine, he started from pole at North Wilkesboro and he won there.
Absolutely. And I mean, who said? I mean, you can't outright anybody in this top 10 out, really, because everybody's had their moments of shine here. Of course, we can, you know, shine the top 5 a little bit more, but everybody's very capable, especially in this top 10, of getting it done tonight. And with 62 laps to go, who knows what can happen? You know, we can get a couple more cautions. Strategy could fall into someone's hand. You know, there could be a couple incidents, and this whole race gets turned upside down.
Definitely right there. I like that little Fresh Prince throw in right there from Emerson Arden. That made me happy too. But we look back up at the top end. Will Klein starting to catch a little bit back up into Femi Olat's rearview mirror. Wondering if Femi kind of used up those tires a little quicker in this run than he had in that first run and let Will Klein get back into the grips of it now, maybe seeing a race for second place shape up.
We actually see a battle about the top 10 as well. Terrell Baker under fire from not only Zach Lindgren, but look at this, Taylor Frey almost into the top 10. This could be big for Taylor. We don't talk much about Taylor, but he's had a couple of promising finishes and now battling really strongly with that 85. He drove right down to the inside of that Ford Mustang, almost had something, but falls back a little bit. Now he'll surge back into turn number 1, tries with that 21 Toyota Supra ahead of the number 85 Ford Mustang, but no dice that time as David Schutt draws back up to the 21 car.
Yeah, back here, it has absolutely been a dogfight back here. We've seen all these guys give it their all, and you know, most of the cautions and incidents have, you know, started from the middle of the field and around this area. This is, you know, where all the action has been. But man, oh man, these drivers, man, they want 10-15 more than some of the drivers up front want to win. Just the way they're driving these cars. TCB trying to hold off now. Zach Lindgren into 3.
Lindgren goes to the bottom side, Frey in right behind. Taylor Frey got really loose out of turn 4 the last time they went through this corner. Maybe gets a little bit better hold on that car this time, but TCB still just barely holding on to that top 10. Right now, Lindgren looking to the inside, still going on the quarter panel through 1 and 2. Taylor Frey all over the rear of both of those cars. Kind of slides up a little bit for Lindgren. They stay off each other, and down the backstretch, TCB holds true.
And these guys are battling for the 10th position. Look at that surge from Taylor Frey. What speed out there. Oh my goodness. Right to the outside. Almost got by Zach Lindgren, but couldn't quite get there before TCB came up the racetrack. Terrell trying to hang on to 10th. This would be almost a season-making day for him. Certainly, he's got to get something figured out on these more normal tracks, if you will. If you're Kyle Busch, one of these real race tracks, he's got to get it going. So many guys this evening have got to turn their seasons around. TCB might be doing it. We're coming closer to 50 to go, and that 25 looks good. What about that move, though, from Taylor Frey right down to the bottom side? Can he take it away?
Taylor Frey, now that's a name. Getting into the top 10 would be something, as he's giving it his all on the inside of TCB. A little loose there off of turn 2. It's going to really lose the momentum there off of 2. TCB will clear back to 10 for now. David Shutt trying to make some hand net outside as well. Again, trying to recover, I guess, back into the top 10 here. And Lindgren has been on it. Any of these guys really looking for a top 10 here, and any of these guys can take it.
Yeah, and you saw how quickly TCB got caught back up to right there. Taylor Frey and David Shutt, they are running well right now, and TCB took advantage of that little bit of looseness we saw that 21 car get on the inside of turn number 2, but see just how quickly they've all caught back up. David Shutt goes to the top side. That Joker Chevy Camaro runs a nice run of momentum up to the tail of TCB past the Stripe Baker. Going to lead this group of 4, but they're all still right nose to tail and battling very well as we go through turn 1.
This battle is so great, I don't know if we can leave it. They are really starting to rough each other up as tires wear away, getting closer to 50 to go. 3 wide, here we go. David Shutt through the middle. Taylor Frey, though, for the moment, going to take the 10th position, but now David Shutt powers by on the top side. What a power move there from Shutt, somebody that we've been waiting to see possibly a win out of. I don't think it's going to come this evening, but that is asserting himself still as somebody to watch as, oh my goodness, they make contact for 11th.
And TCB was trying to get as low as he could through the center of the corner. They're going to send it 3 wide potentially again. How about on board with Lindgren trying to get himself into the mix? Everybody trying to get to the bottom. Besides Shutt. Frey's loose out of 4. Now TCB jumps up high. Able to cover off Lindgren to get a better line into 1. Frey slides up. 3 wide once again maybe as TCB sends it down the inside.
Almost a little bit of contact there between Lindgren and Baker. Now we've got Cole Freilich mixing things up with these guys. That was a huge send from Taylor Frey into turn number 1. It ended up biting him in the tail. TCB powering to the bottom side. David Shutt up top. You're on board with Freilich as they go back down the front stretch. TCB loose. Gets a little bit of control there, but Taylor is going to take back the run, get around the outside, and maybe try to get back up into that top 10.
Gosh, what an epic battle out of these guys. It looks like David Shutt might start to drive away a little bit, but that was amazing stuff. And ooh, Lindgren a bit sideways in reaction to Cole Freilich getting a little bit sideways. And hey, Taylor Frey might not be done with that 5 car just yet. They're still mixing things up back here. Lindgren still fighting up out of the corner. Hangs on to it for now as TCB slides into 12th position. Got to go back up front, reset our leader as Chad Oxendine has put himself a half second ahead of Femi Olot, but that gap is starting to actually close, believe it or not. That 18 car may be starting to mount a run back up to the 66, all while Will Klein stays within tow.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, a lot of laps to go. Now under 50 laps to go, but that's a lot of racing at Iowa, and I assume there's still a pit stop left for these boys. Tires definitely still the talk of the town up here, and I think, you know, over the course of the run, we've seen Ola, of course, just be amazing on the long run, and we're starting to get into that range now. Is this where Ola's going to shine? Klein had to look to the inside. He's going to lose a little bit of time down the straight, though.
Will Klein sitting P3, watching first and second in front of him. I'm going to take a stab at what I'm going to make a big guess. I'm going to say Femi Olot kind of on that restart, maybe used up a little more of the tires than he originally wanted to. As you're watching Jared Darling and Hertzeg go side by side. Now this is for 4th spot. Hertzeg down to the bottom side, going to see if the 96 can clear car number 1 out of turn number 4. He does, but just barely, maybe almost a little bit of contact as he just had the slightest of room. Molyneux shaking things up as well in this group with Tommy Gossett, but I'm wondering if Femi kind of held on to his tires in car number 18 enough to now be a little bit on the upper hand as we're side by side again now. This is going to be a pass maybe by Molyneux to the inside for 5th, pardon, as down the inside the 45. Will she be able to clear off of turn number 4? The answer is no.
And you see Tommy Gossett has fallen into this battle as well. In fact, on the far side of it is Ashley right back up the inside of Jared. no dice, couldn't make it happen. But Tommy Gossett, he's not quite looking like he's going to keep that stat running, but there's still over 40 laps to go, and anything can happen if we just get a restart, maybe a caution that changes things up a bit differently. So Tommy not out of it yet, but he's got his work cut out for him as he tries to get to the inside of Jared Darling and maybe take that 6th position away. I think what you're starting to get at, though, Joe, was the effect that the tires may have taken there on the 18 car, saying he may have run those tires off. I think that is certainly not the case. He is driving right up to the back end of Chad Oxendine. I don't know that he's got the opportunity to pass just yet, but again, he's going to sit back, he's going to be calculated, and something I noticed that Emerson even mentioned was Will Klein letting that 18 car go by early. Well, that mentality is to save tires. Femi can absolutely grab some positions and still save tires. He knows how to do it. Will Klein clearly doing the same thing. These guys wanted to let Chad Oxendine lead these laps. They're focused on the win, not the most laps led, and they want to go grab it. Ashley Molyneux, though, with a slide, she falls back now into 8th.
And I was just about to mention the drive that Molyneux has had. Remember, she started 3rd, fell back to nearly outside the top 15, drove her way back into the top 5 momentarily. Now trying to fight her way to stay in 7th against John Barry as Jared Darling and Tommy Gossett continue to duke it out for 5th. Still an amazing drive back through the field for Molyneux with still some time left.
Yeah, definitely time left for Molyneux, and she's done a heck of a job to get back up this far. I want to mention John Barry right there. You see the 74 car running P8 right now. That's kind of one of those sleeper guys who just runs consistent freely and runs quiet in the top 10 up to the end of races. I've always thought John Barry is one of those guys to watch at the end of a race. And hey, we're getting closer to it, so watch that 74 car. So maybe he can get a couple more positions, maybe even fight for a podium if he's granted a chance to catch all the way back up to the guys who made a pretty clear distance away from 4th and 5th places. Herzeg and Darling, we're going to go for it maybe, but we'll see what happens. We've got, 40 laps to go, so there's plenty of time left, but, position by position, you got to get up to the front at some point.
I'm glad you mentioned John Barry there, Joe. He comes into this race 5th place in the point standings, currently 8th on the racetrack. Always consistent is that 74. He's got a couple of championships to his name, and I would imagine that he'll be one to be reckoned with as Tommy Loose out of 4 saves it. Wow, what a catch there from Tommy Gossett as we complete lap 111 that time by. That could have been a spin, and it's so easy to have happen as soon as you get sideways in these cars. They tend to want to spin, usually if you're already sideways like that, but a pretty good catch there as we're starting to see these two leaders drive right back to one another. The pro driver, Femi Olot, all over Chad Oxendine.
We'll see here. It'll be interesting to see if Olot will send it to the inside. He's trying to anyway. I was about to say, because Olot made some amazing ground on that outside lane early. If he can get to the outside of Oxendine, it'll be, I think, game over. But if Oxendine holds that outside, he can put up a great fight against Olot here. A lot of laps to go. Olot trying to put the pressure on Oxendine down the front straight as we ride on the nose.
And one thing we saw with Zoltan Herzeg when he was leading this race was protecting that top side seems to be the way to go. And it looks like right now Chad Oxendine is more or less doing the exact same line that we had seen that 96 car run earlier in this show. And obviously Femi Olot is very skilled and will be able to figure out a place that he can put that 18 car to try to at least put the nose on Oxendine right now. But for the moment, the top side is the place to be. Oxendine making good work of it. Stays in front of car 18. Will Klein starting to slowly trek in on these two. If they start battling, that's going to give that 48 car a chance.
And Joe, the thing about running the top side here, Iowa, it may not be the fastest line, but it's always preferred because you can defend up there. And you see that at most racetracks these days, certainly most oval tracks, where it's just so easy to defend, especially in current NASCAR stock cars. It's so easy to defend up there. You're taking a line or two even away from the driver on the inside trying to make that pass. So you're restricting, you're essentially cutting the racetrack in half or even further if you really get down on that door. So you really take the opportunity away for the passing car and you really restrict what that passing car can do. I'm also observing the fact that these guys are a little ways past halfway through what would be this run to the end. Are we going to see pit stops or do they run it out?
I don't.
It's right on that threshold, isn't it?
It is. I was contemplating, going to the end depending on when the restart was, but that just seems a little long. Splitting it in half sounds like the easy choice. We'll have to see, but they, like you said, they're past halfway. Maybe they just run it out and take splashes at the end. That's not a very smart choice, but that's potentially on the table.
One way to call your shot.
Yeah, you're definitely going to want to kind of roll with the flow here. I think it's an option, maybe what Emerson's mentioning, to do that splash and go. But obviously, it's all about time. It's all about how much time you spend sitting still. And it's going to be interesting to see at the end of this race how much time's left when they need to do that splash, if they even do that splash, and if there's a yellow or something like that. Obviously, a yellow would just throw a curveball for all of them. So maybe we'll get that, and maybe it'll just go down to racing room. But we'll see. I mean, there's way too much time left to even be 100% certain.
Watching a lot of the field drive by here, you can see just about how spread out everybody is. They're all in their separate little battles out around the racetrack. There goes Hayes Booth. Here comes, it looks like Spencer Ray. Cody Miller! Oh my goodness, is he crashing possibly? I think he saved it, but only just. Oh my goodness, that was sketchy off into turn one. We'll come around and take 30 to go. These guys up front, they've run 62 laps on fuel. There was one caution in the middle of that where they did not pit. The first driver that did pit, though, on that caution flag was Ashley Molyneux, who rides 8th, and it seems like that hasn't done a whole lot for her. She took 23 seconds of pit service, so I don't know. I think these guys up front, they must be planning on, at this point, running to the end. They've run twice the distance that they would have left. I think they can certainly plan to go 90 laps by this measure.
I'd have to say so, especially with the caution helping out with that fuel saving. I just don't really know what the fuel run is here. I figured to be less than that, but maybe they can go 90 laps here. The tires last that long is another thing. Depends what line you're driving. I think if you run that outside like Olot's been, you're fine. But if your Will Klein has been running a lot on that inside as he tries to get to the inside of Olot there, wow, these three are tied together. It might be hurting there at the end. What a send from Will Klein.
Yeah, we've been talking about the long-run strategy to get to the finish of this race, but one thing we got to look at this race for the lead right now. Oxendine leading now, Olot and Klein, they go single file at the line, but they're all getting some big sends into turns 1 and 3 on each other. Will Klein looking slightly to the inside again of Olot, maybe held on to a little bit more of those tires, Will Klein did, and maybe give him a chance to get up into the front soon.
And let's not forget this guy back here as Klein goes back to the inside of Olot. Zoltan Herczak starting to reel these boys in. Some lap traffic ahead. You gotta wonder if Zoltan can drive back up there. He was so good on short tracks one season ago that he won the championship. So I gotta wonder if Zoltan is starting to plan to get up. Obviously, he'd love to get up there, but it's a matter of whether or not he can do it. Certainly, worn out tires for everybody up here, nearing 70 laps since they last came down the pit lane, albeit with one caution in between. They'll come around the lapped car of Spencer Owens. He gets way out of the way. We've got to wait just a little bit longer for lap traffic to make a difference, but there's Cody Miller just ahead of these guys.
I think that's going to be the biggest thing. What line does Oxendine take through traffic, and can Olot time it out to where he can maybe get an advantage with a lapped vehicle up ahead, and Will Klein still sending it down the inside. I cannot believe he's still doing that with how many laps they've ran on these tires.
Yeah, definitely going to be using those ones up as you see Cody Miller jump very abruptly to the bottom side of the racetrack. That's going to allow the leaders to maybe get a run around the outside and clear the 28 machine. Holy close! Femi scared me there for turn 2.
That was close, but boy, I thought you were going to say something else there as Chad Oxendine, Femi Olot, and Will Klein work around that 28 car. We are getting down to 20 laps to go, guys. In fact, that was 25. This is 24. This is go time for each of these three drivers, and these laps are clicking off at 24 seconds a pop. So we're getting close to it. I gotta wonder when Femi makes that move and tries to maybe leave Will Klein to deal with Chad Oxendine. I mean, this feels a lot like when Femi had to lap that 66 car back at Dover a few weeks back, where Femi actually ended up moving Chad Oxendine as Chad was lapped in that one. Now they're battling for position, and Chad is absolutely in the right to do so. When does Femi use the bumper? Does he use the bumper?
Yeah, Olot was not happy behind Oxendine when he did that at Dover. This is obviously different. I don't know. I do not know. I would imagine he would, just because how many laps he's been behind him, and with how, I guess, spotty of a schedule he has due to his Pro Series obligations, why not? just get yourself one of those wins. Oxenden has a couple as it is already, right?
Well, Femi definitely wouldn't be taking that opportunity too quickly here. I think we got a couple laps before we see it, and at the same time, yeah, you want to win that race, but I always give a lot of respect to the guys who run them clean, and for Femi in this opportunity right now to get a good run to the finish, maybe he doesn't even need to use that chrome horn. Maybe we'll just be able to run Oxenden out of his car as we get closer and closer to the end of this one. We're coming up to be 20 laps from that checkered flag. Femi Olot still putting a ton of pressure on Chad Oxenden up front. Will Klein holding on, sort of fell back a little bit, but continues to run to the bottom side, diving low to try to make up some time from 3 and 4 right here.
Still nose to tail for this top 3. Klein starting to fall back. Those tires look like they're starting to fall off. And at this point, what if Chad Oxenden has intentionally been saving, backing these guys up to one another, and just waiting for the right time to start sailing away? You gotta wonder. At this point, I mean, that could have been the strategy. That could have been the move, I would say, for the 66 car. I'm just not so sure. Femi is so good center of the corner. He's not quite as good off because he's having to go low to try and get by that 66. But I wonder if you were to get the 18 to the outside, I would imagine it would go by pretty quickly.
Absolutely. I don't think Chad is really saving. I mean, maybe at this point he is. But I think this is just Olot just really doing so well on these tires over the course of the run. But again, you see how tempting it is to dive down to that inside, and Olot just does not do it. Oh, actually, well, scratch that. He'll send it down to the inside as they go to the inside of Spencer Ray.
Spencer Ray stays out of the way as they come through 1 and 2. The top 3 slide through, and now we've got the race down the back straightaway. Femi Olot made a little bit of a nose dive into turn 1. It didn't quite work out for him. He's holding on. He's got Will Klein looking to the bottom side once more. Will Klein does not get that run. They come back to the stripe again. Oxenden just holding on very well to that top side run. We're on board now with Will Klein again as they go into turn 1. You can see how quickly those guys are trying to get in, and you can see the run that Will Klein gets into the corner.
Oh, Chad Oxenden sideways out of the corner. Caution flag. Sean Williams in trouble in turns 3 and 4. Boys, this changes everything.
Well, let's think back to who was good on the short run. First, we'll get the replay, of course. But wow, that we're not gonna have too many laps left to decide this. So here we are off of turn number 4, and as far as he's catching up to TCB here, coming down to 1, all over the back end of TCB.
Yeah, you saw TCB get loose out of turn number 4 that time. Sean Williams dives to the inside. He's got plenty of guys behind him. They go side by side out of turn number 2. Gets close, a little bit loose for Sean down the inside. Car number 89 diving into turn number 3.
Oh!
TCB, he just kind of washed up a little bit into the 25 car, and around he goes into the outside wall. That's a tough one right there.
And somehow, I think TCB saved it after that contact, but that was bizarre from Sean Williams. He obviously sent it in. That's not the bizarre part, but what's bizarre is the way that 89 suddenly turned around like that. That is not how 2 cars should react after contact. Certainly, at least not at Iowa. That was really odd, I have to say. We'll watch it one more time. This is at turns 3 and 4. You'll see Sean Williams into the inside, contact, and immediately that car just spins around. Oh my goodness, Cole Freilich. 2 really close calls in that. Wow.
What an avoidance. What, I guess, luck for Cole Freilich. I don't know what happened with Sean Williams' car there. That was awkward. Maybe some netcode.
Yeah, it might have been, actually. That's a really good point there, Emerson. I was wondering if he just got into that corner a little quick. We're on board with Tom Mercier down the inside of Cole Freilich. We'll ride on board. I know we're going to get an awesome shot of this one as we come down the back straightaway. They're side by side. Williams got a little loose into turn 3. Maybe sent in a little bit. Oh, yeah, we're rocking the replay. We're rocking the slow-mo replay right now. So there's the contact in front. Williams sideways. On board with Freilich. He's got smoke in his vision. He can't quite see. Oh, wow. Boy, that was close. But wait, we're not done yet.
But wait, there's more.
Wow, that's close for Cole Freilich.
That was really close for Cole Freilich. Hats off to this guy, missing that twice. That was incredible. Do gotta say, though, Things up front, not really changing. The top 4, the top 5, the same as they came in. Chad Oxendine leaves pit road, the race leader. Will have just over 10 laps remaining. Femi Olot, he exits second. Will Klein there in third. Zoltan Herzeg, he stays fourth. Tommy Gossett up to fifth, though. So that's actually big for Tommy Gossett to get some spots back. Some other guys in the top 10, you'll find John Barry, David Shutt, Zach Lindgren, Jared Darling, and Josh Robin. What can we expect on this one? We'll have about 12 to go, it looks like, Emerson. Boy, everything we thought we knew in the previous 130, throw it out.
Absolutely. This is going to be about short run. I think that inside may come to play here. I think the outside is still going to be the best line to defend against moves like that. But you can really be aggressive with sending it down in there, knowing that there's only 12 or so laps, actually less, I think, because the lights are still on the pace car. And if I'm reading this right, Femi just said he was 4 laps short. So this caution may have helped everybody. They might have had to make some questionable calls there at the end if everybody was short.
Yeah, this is definitely going to clear that out of everybody's minds. They're good to go to the finish now, and they're all ready for what should be a very exciting restart. I got to give credit. I want to make it known. Zoltan Herzeg definitely benefited off this. Now gives that 96 an opportunity to run with those top 3 guys that he was very slowly catching up to, but all that time is erased. And when they get the green flag again, he's going to be right on the tail of these guys. Zoltan definitely benefited from it. We're going to see if he can take care of it and use that to his advantage further.
As we get ready to go for just over 10 more laps, we'll bring in the driver of the 8 car, Josh Robin. Josh, certainly a lot different from iRacing Super Speedway, but good last week, good this week. What do you have in these final 10 or so?
Oh man, I'm going to go hard. Try to race hard. I love this track, so I'm going to do what I can. I don't know, man. It's going to be pretty wild.
Last time we were at a short track D-shaped oval, you won. That was Richmond last season. Best of luck here, buddy.
All right, thank you.
Josh Robin, he's got something here towards the end. He's restarting 10th, and that was a bit quick. Wish we could have talked to him a bit longer, but I'd watch out for that 8 car outside of row number 5. He'll be coming to the restart on the outside of Jared Darling. Up front, though, it's still the same top 4. What can they do? 11 laps to go from the Iowa Speedway. Chad Oxendine waiting on the green flag early. He goes way early. A big restart. He's got Femi by a couple of car lengths.
That's going to make things easy for Femi Olot. Coming in through 1 and 2. Will Klein trying to get that run around the outside to clear Tommy Gossett. Got a great restart. He'll clear David Shutt.
Shutt got an awesome restart right there. I think Herzeg didn't quite get as a restart as he wanted. Femi Olot to the way high side. Chad Oxendine down low. It looks like Klein's running the middle side. Gossett's on the charge. They're all running hard as they're single file for the top 6 and a slew of them behind.
Zoltan, big problems on the restart. He's back to 9th behind, well, now battling with Zach Lindgren. But up front, these guys still nose to tail. Will Klein, a bobble out of 2, saves it. The top 2 start to drive away.
Side by side behind Will Klein and trying to fend off Tommy Gossett. Femi Olot. Does he have anything for Chad Oxendine? He's going to have to start using that inside, I think.
They're going to have to go to the bottom side. Femi Olot, you're riding on board with the race leader who just set the purple lap, the fastest lap of this race so far. Oxendine on a tear. The afterburners are definitely on right now. Oxendine's got a hungry group of guys right on his tail trying to get past him as we get closer and closer to this checkered flag. They're trying their best. You saw Klein go to the bottom again. Gossett in right behind him. They're trying. They're searching.
Laps winding down, drivers moving forward, drivers falling back. 8 laps to go that time by the stripe. Femi Olot, he's got to move around. He's got to find some other lane than the 66 car is running. Otherwise, Chad Oxendine might have his 3rd win on the season. 7 laps to go, this time by a slight bobble out of the 66. The whole top 6, though, top 7, maybe even top 8, all single file.
A little bit different than what we expect, with a late race restart like that. But I think everybody's just kind of looking at what's ahead of them, trying to see what they can do to get that spot ahead of them. Right here with Femi Olot, sizing up Chad Oxendine. I'm assuming he's just saving anything drastic that he's going to do for the final couple of laps.
Yeah, right now I'm wondering if Femi Olot's going to try to figure out a way to back up the corners and get a run out of either turn 2 or turn 4 to make a pass on the straightaway from Chad Oxendine, because I don't think Chad's going to give him a chance in the corners. that's going to probably be the move Femi's going to want to make, is try to get a run and make a pass on the straightaway that you can take into either turn 1 or 3.
We'll have 5 laps to go this time by the flag stand. Oxendine still leading. Klein still third. And Femi in the middle. David Schutt, he's into the top 5. He's moving forward. He might have something here at the end. Still watching these two go at it up front. When does Femi... We've been asking for 50 laps. When does Femi make that move? He's only got 4.5 more tries.
Ever so close once again. It looks like it's the same thing over and over again, but Femi Ola, I know he's not content with second place here. They're slipping and sliding behind, but Will Klein and Tommy Gossett going at it, but Femi Ola still eyes forward, tunnel vision on that 66.
Yeah, it looks like Will Klein dropping back a little bit there. He went a little high through 1 and 2. He let Schutt and Darling through on the inside. Now Tommy Gossett's going to have a clear path up to Olot. I was wondering if Gossett was going to be caught up with Klein and those two were going to fall back a little bit. It seems like that's what happened, but Femi almost gets the wall as he's trying to use up as much of this asphalt as he can.
Jared Darling working on a top 5 back there as we take 3 to go. Femi's all over still the back end of Chad Oxendine. How many laps can they do this?
I don't know. Here comes the send from Femi Olot. He's going to try to get the slide job done on that turn number 4. He gets the pass complete, but Oxendine with the crossover.
What a move as they come past 2 to go here at Iowa. And down the inside, Oxendine goes back again. Femi Olot knows what he can do this time. They're going to go down the back straightaway, almost bumper to bumper. Olot looks to the bottom side. Coming into turn number 3, he's going to send it into the bottom lane. Trying to come up the racetrack, not quite going to get there. Oh, maybe he will. Femi Olot and Chad Oxendine, they're going to be side by side at the white flag. 1 lap to go.
Drag race to the white flag that time, but not good enough yet for Femi Olot. Side by side for the final time through turns 1 and 2. Down the backstretch now. Does Femi go for it on the inside of Chad Oxendine? This is the final shot. He's going to go low. Slide job from Femi Olot. Does he make it? Does he complete it? He backs right up to the nose of Chad Oxendine. Blocks a little bit. A drag race and across the line, Femi Olot grabs the win at Iowa.
What a finish. What a move from Femi Olot. And you know what? When he did it a couple laps to go, that was him practicing that move, I'm pretty sure. He knew that Oxendine was going to cross him over, but that time out of 4, that was perfectly executed from Femi Olot.
Oh, I am so hyped up right now. That was such an excellent race to the checkered flag right there. Femi backed that corner up really nicely in the middle of 3 and 4. A well-deserved celebration right here because he backed it up enough that he kind of blocked Oxendine's really good run and just held enough momentum to get to that stripe first. What a run. What a show. Burn down the house, Femi. You earned it. That was amazing.
Femi Olot makes it happen this evening in Newton, Iowa. Oh my goodness, the Gibbs Gaming driver shows up. He wasn't always looking like he had this one in the bag by all means, but he drove to the front, started 19th, and showed all of these guys how it's done. He will advance himself 1 tick closer to passing Bobby Zielinski, possibly for second place on the NORC All-Times win list. He goes up to 27. He's got to get to 32 to pass Bobby. What a finish this evening. Femi Olot getting it done at the Iowa Speedway in epic style. We will take a step away. We will be right back to you this evening from Iowa with post-race coverage. Don't go anywhere.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
Welcome back to the virtual Iowa Speedway. What a finish we just saw, ladies and gents. That was a fantastic one. Femi Olot gets it done under the sun in the Iowa cornfields. What a fantastic finish this racetrack produced this evening. Fantastic stuff through and through. And Femi, you got it. You came out at Dover. You I don't want to say dominated the race, but you were right there with everybody running lockstep formation. I know it's a big difference. Obviously, you're putting your heart and soul into those NASCAR Cup Camrys, but dropping down to these Supras, you've still got it, and you win this evening at Iowa.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I really do not enjoy track. I hate this track a lot, and I don't enjoy driving this car. But we're off for some time, and I got a new rim, so I was like, might as well, race some more and get used to it. It's a lot better than my old rim, which made me feel sluggish, driving. But it was hard to pass tonight, but I mean, it made for a very fun race. The funny thing is, I was gonna run out of fuel on that run, that last run before the caution came out. So it worked out.
Yeah, Emerson Arden mentioned that you said you were 4 laps short, probably some others right there with you. But we got the caution flag set up for that epic run to the finish, and you mentioned it was hard to pass. You mentioned you hate this racetrack. A lot of people have said that so far this evening. Why do you hate this racetrack? What is so difficult then for you here at Iowa?
For a really long time, like anytime any league would come here, I'd always end up self-spinning at some point during the race, and I could just never find the line in 1 and 2 or in 3 and 4. It was weird. It was like I was under driving, but I would overdrive exit, and it just wasn't a fun time for me. But I think in my last 3 races I've done here, they were all spread out between a lot of months. But I think I feel like I've gotten better at the track, so that's good. And I think this race showed that. I feel like if I passed Chad on that long run, I would have pulled away by a lot. So with that in mind, I think I'm decent at the track now, but it's still just not my cup of tea. I don't know. Like I said, everybody is running the bottom. I tried to run the bottom once, and I just plowed and lost 3/10 on my lap. So I just went back to the top, and it made everybody else go to the top. So I guess I was doing something right.
May not have been your cup of tea, but it was another one of these tight, not quite intermediate racetracks, kind of in between short and intermediate But you fit right back into winning a couple of short tracks. The last time you did so was back in 2019, if you can believe it or not, season 10. And since then, you've been on a much more intermittent schedule. Obviously, we know you've gone up there, you've gotten in with Gibbs Gaming. Tell us about that real quick. Tell us about how that's been a big change for you this year.
It's funny. Ever since the series started, I've been on iRacing less, which is part of the reason why I wanted to race tonight. Because, like I said, I got a new rim, so I just wanted to do some laps on it. And my season's been rough, man. Like I said earlier too, on the old rim I was using, I felt just sluggish driving the car, and I felt sluggish. But during the race, I wouldn't be running like poorly during the race, but I just had like so much bad luck. It's just unreal. But Charlotte was a big confidence boost. Qualified well and had like top pace after the first run of the race, so we'll see how the rest of the season goes. But it's been fun. It's been rough, but it's definitely been more fun than rough.
Well, of course, we got to focus back on the NORC side of things. Obviously, part-time, because Tuesdays happen to intersect with your pro stuff. But got to ask, how many more races do you think you'll show up for this season? You mentioned you've got a bit of a break coming up here from the pro stuff, so maybe a couple of more races coming for you. And do you think maybe, I got to mention it because we've got a whole lot of stats over here. You're 5 wins now behind Bobby. Do you think you can touch that sometime, maybe this calendar year?
Probably not. I don't see myself doing at minimum 5 more races. It just really depends on the track and how long of a break. Well, not really how long of a break, but just depending what track it is during the off week in between Coke races, that if I want to race, I'll race. I think the radio event's in Michigan, so that's definitely a race that would have happened, but it's not going to happen. But I'll just have to see.
Well, Femi, gotta congratulate you this evening. Fantastic run. You were all over Chad for the better part of, 90 laps? Almost 100, maybe? It was great watching you guys duke it out, especially in that sprint. Who do you have to thank? Who do you have to shout out this evening getting it done at Iowa?
Gotta thank you guys for broadcasting. It's your first season, and I'm pretty sure you guys are doing a really good job. And I feel like it was a step in the right direction for the league, and I'm happy that you guys are the ones broadcasting, and you guys are doing a great job. Thanks to everybody who raced tonight, and the viewers of the stream, and of course, shout out to Gibbs Gaming. Tune into the Coke races. I think we go to Pocono on the 18th, so check that out if you want. And yeah, that's really it.
Once more, Femi, congratulations. Fantastic run. It was exciting through and through. Thank you so much for that. Man, I can't wait to see you back out here one of these races sometime this season. Best of luck to you. Hopefully in some more races here in NORC, and certainly in your Coke endeavors.
Thank you. Also, I got to give a quick shout out to Chad. I didn't get that in my interview, but we raced really clean. I told him after the race, and before you dragged me in here, that I was going to do it without hitting him. And because he's in the points and I'm not, so congrats to him. I'm sure he's probably disappointed with second place, but he's honestly got nothing to be disappointed about. He ran a great race.
How about that? Straight up class act out of Femi Olot. Buddy, congratulations this evening. Have fun living up, and can't wait to see you back on the racetrack soon.
Thank you.
Femi Olot, again, a class act. That is really cool to hear that he did not want to move. Chad Oxendine knew he was in the points. He's just here to have fun. And raced him cleanly, raced him straight up, and got that position, got the race win, ultimately, over Chad Oxendine. What a battle. Let's hear from the other side of it, though. Chad Oxendine, who finished second place.
Right, there are 2 sides to every story, and Chad Oxendine, who led 83 laps today, absolutely dominant. But man, oh man, Femi just sizing you up. The final round before the caution, and then those last 11 laps or so. Chad, what's going through your mind when you have that bright green 18 just all over your mirror for that many laps?
Yeah, I definitely. I was just telling myself, don't make a mistake. Don't make a mistake. And he was obviously faster, but it was so hard to pass and dirty air and all that. I knew if I could just run my line, just do my thing, that I could hold him off. And the yellow comes out, which I didn't really want to see it. I knew it'd be harder for him on older tires, but the yellow come out, and then he nipped me at the line there. But great race. I want to thank him for racing me clean. He could have punted me many, many times, so I appreciate that, and hell of a finish. We're just on the wrong side of it today.
Oh, I was just about to say he was in here in his interview, and he said it to you, but he said it on his interview as well. Of course, he didn't want to make contact with you when he made that move because you're in the points and he's a part timer. But what was your whole take? Well, he sent it once with a couple laps ago, but then that final said when you all were side by side already down the back straight on the final lap.
Yeah, I think he sent it with 2 or 3 to go, and I got back under him and got back around him and won. And then on that last in 3 and 4 there coming to the checker, I was kind of thinking the same move. He was going to slide up, and I was expecting him to throw it in there, but he didn't. He kind of went halfway up the track, and I backed the corner up so much I was going to go underneath of him. But when he didn't really slide all the way up, he left me a lane. I had to take the outside where I had my run, and I needed that start and finish line to be like Talladega and be down there toward turn 1 a little more, and I would have got him. But if I would have ran my regular line there, I would have probably just clipped him by a half a car or a bumper or something. But I just like I said, I just let off a little earlier, expected him to come up more, and he didn't. And it just worked out for him and not for me.
Fair enough. One more question about tonight. Femi said that he was 4 laps short, and that caution saved him. Were you short? Did that caution help you in fuel at all? Or, I know you said you didn't want it to come out, but were you going to make it on fuel?
If I'm being completely honest, I wasn't even paying attention to the fuel at all. If he was short, I'm sure I was short, and I didn't even know it. I would have ran out and not even known. I was not looking at my fuel. I was so focused on just trying to hit my mark every lap because I knew he was faster, and probably Will was faster than me too on that long run. I wore my right front out, and I'll be honest, I didn't even have a clue we were short. So if people started pitting, I would have been like, what's going on? And maybe I would have looked at fuel. But I guarantee if he was short, I was, because we all pitted at the same time, and I wasn't saving nothing. So I was giving her all she had there.
Fair enough. So we go from one short track to another next week at Nashville. How do you feel about your chances there?
Yeah, I feel good. Love the short tracks. Feel like I'll have as good a chance as anyone next week. Nashville's a lot of fun. It's going to be hard to pass there too, but I believe we'll have some more bumping and banging there at Nashville. Kind of tight quarters there, where Iowa's a little bit wider. You got a couple lanes to run, so should be a fun one. I always look forward to anything under a mile. Is always a good time. So we'll see how it goes.
Absolutely. Well, once again, congratulations on your second place finish. Who do you have to shout out for your dominating run today, all the laps led, and then the great finish?
Yeah, like I said, I'll shout out to Femi just for racing me clean. What a hell of a finish. Thank him. Thank you guys for putting on a great broadcast as you do week in and week out. Always enjoy going back and listening. Thanks to John Barry for putting this league on so we can have good finishes like that. All my friends and family out there watching each and every week, I appreciate them for tuning in. And we'll see you guys next week. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Chad, once again, congratulations on the second place finish, dominating run today, and best of luck to you next week at Nashville.
Thank you, man. Have a good one.
Absolutely. And that was our second place finisher, Chad Oxendine. And now we're going to send it over to Joe Donahue standing by with Jared Darling.
Yeah, so we'll bring over P5 tonight. Jared Darling put on a great show in and of himself. Jared, this is Joe Donahue up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do.
All right, Jared. Well, we've been talking about the finish for first place a lot here with the last 2 interviews we've had, but we haven't gotten the input on somebody who saw that run to third place and that big group of guys running out of that final corner to try to get the final podium spot. Obviously, you came home P5, but what did you see from your perspective on that last lap?
Yeah, it's basically the same thing like you said for the win. We were just racing really hard, trying to get some spots, and I had some really good short run pace tonight, so I was trying to take advantage of what I could, and almost got third. I was hoping they'd get together a little bit so I can maybe get that third place, but nonetheless, got fifth. Not too bad. Really struggled with the right front tonight on long runs for sure, but I was kind of lucky to get that late yellow, and I knew with the late yellow I'd have a shot to get back up to the front, and got top 5 finally. First top 5 of the year, so it feels nice, and it's like 4 straight top 10s now, so moving up in the points, so things are looking good, but we just got to keep getting better, and hopefully we can continue that next week.
Absolutely. You brought a little bit of momentum in being a past winner here at this track with the series. And obviously, you mentioned that run to the finish and just getting off on the restarts and whatnot is very crucial in that. And I want to get your input. What were your expectations on that final restart when you got the yellow flag versus when you went back to racing again? What were you thinking and what were you feeling as you were getting ready to run this race out?
Yeah, like I said, I really struggled. Iowa, by the way, Iowa's a really good track. I've always run well here. I love this track. It's very fun. And obviously, you guys saw a great race. We were all over the place. 3 lanes worked. We were moving all around. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, that when I got that caution, that restart, I think I restarted like 9th, and I was 5th or 6th going into 1. So yeah, I just got a really, really good restart, and I knew I had an advantage on that short run. So I was really looking forward to it. And I think a couple more laps, I probably could have got 3rd. But, we'll take a top 5, got 5th, had a clean race, 0 incidents, and ran pretty solid all race. So I'm pretty happy with tonight's performance. But still would like to be up there with Femi and Chad, but we'll get there eventually, hopefully.
Hey, it's all in due time, and it just takes a little bit of momentum to get there. Like you said, you got a lot tonight. P5, great run for you. Tell me how you feel moving forward as you trek forward through the playoffs, you trek forward through these next couple races. What are your expectations? What are your goals that you're going to set for yourself for these next few weeks to try to get to that P1 spot?
Yeah, well, really the goal, I just obviously want to make the playoffs, obviously top 10. I think after tonight, it should be pretty close. A few weeks, we were down like 20-something points, so it's been a good climb. Getting good results like I should be getting. And next week, I think we go to Nashville. It's another short track, and I love short tracks. So really looking forward to that track. We raced there once last year or another league or something, and I ran really well there. So I'm looking forward to that. And I think we got Talladega coming up, so anything can happen there. The next few weeks are some good tracks, and hopefully we can kind of maybe get a win or just keep getting these top 5s at least and moving up in the points. That's really the goal here.
Yeah, the consistency will reign king. And hey, there's a lot of great opportunities for you as the rest of the season goes, and a lot of opportunities for us to talk to you again in the future. But for tonight, we get to celebrate a P5 with you. I want to give you center stage. Anybody you want to shout out on the broadcast, anybody you want to thank for this opportunity and this run you got out of Iowa tonight.
Yeah, first off, John Barry for this league. Every Tuesday night we've been here. Some of us have been here for 9 years. I know I have been since the beginning. So, every Tuesday night to come out with a good group of friends and race on the track. It's a lot of fun. Thank him for that. Thank you guys for your excellent broadcast. I praised Andrew last week down in Charlotte, and you guys do amazing. I mean, I love your broadcast. I can't wait to go back and watch this. It was a really good race. You guys saw a good show. And everybody, if anybody's out there in chat rooting for me, thank you. Appreciate that. And shout out to everybody I raced tonight, and everybody was clean, and we'll see you next week in Nashville.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Jared. Once again, congratulations on your run tonight. Hopefully we'll be getting to talk to you again in the near future.
All right, y'all have a good night.
You too, sir. And there you have it, Jared Darling rounding out the top 5 with a excellent race to the finish for that 3rd spot. Kind of saw it off the top of the screen, but it was a heck of a race to the line for basically everybody in the top 10 at the end of this one, Andrew.
We're kind of seeing a bit of it start to take form here in the background as we'll take a look at our unofficial currently race results. Again, big congratulations to Femi Ola. Just an incredible run this evening. Look at that. 0.014. That's a little over 1/100th of a second for Femi Ola over Chad Oxendine. You see David Shutt, he recovers. He takes 3rd this evening. Tommy Gossett ends up in 4th. Jared Darling in 5th. You got Will Klein 6th. John Barry 7th. You know what? You see Will Klein in the background up the racetrack. That really shaped a lot of that up. Pretty amazing that he was able to hang on, though, 6th, all things considered. Zach Lindgren, he gets another top 10. He takes 8th position. Josh Robin takes 9th position, and Ariati does squeak out of the top 10. Fantastic finishes through and through that top 10.
On to the second page here, we have TCB top of that page. Again, running in the top 10 most of the day. He'll come home 11th. Tom Mercier 12th. Zoltan Herzeg, after leading laps early, down in 13th. Not the best of runs considering what he was doing earlier, but He'll be looking to make that up next week at Nashville. Cole Fralick, 14th after his incidents, along with Howie Briss and Hayes Booth. All of those drivers involved in some incidents today, 14th, 15th, and 16th. Bobby Chaney was maybe moving forward through the field. He ends up in 17th. Taylor Frey had a look inside the top 10 for a moment. He's ending up in 18th. Sean Williams, 19th, and Sheldon Lockie will round out the top 20.
You roll back to 21st. You've got Cody Miller in car number 28 rounding that one out. Scott Shire in 22nd. And then Ashley Molyneux all the way back in 23rd. Goes from winning 1 week to, at the tail end, another. Definitely not the run that she wanted. But hey, there's plenty of races left this season to get another one. Spencer Ray finishes 24th, 1 lap behind the leaders. And then you go back to the guys who did not quite get to the finish of this one. Spencer Owens finishes P25. Brent Pancari in 26th. 27th for Aiden Kirker in that number 17 machine, and Aaron Smith will round out the field in the unofficial results here at Iowa.
That's oh so painful for Spencer Owens and Brett Pancari, two guys in the top 10 of points that really could have used a good one this evening. They've been so good this season. Can't wait to see how they rebound potentially in the coming weeks. As man, what a race we were treated to this evening. These two that just went at it right there at the end. Fantastic stuff. And of course, the race for third was great as well. Do got to mention Zoltan Hergzeg, despite finishing 13th, a little ways back and certainly not going to be the greatest as far as point gains go. He is still the only driver, and he keeps this alive for himself, the only driver to complete every single lap so far in the NORC iRacing series. That, ladies and gentlemen, is through 10 races. That is incredible. Definitely big props there to the driver of the 96. John Williams is right there with him, 11 laps back, so that really shows just how on top of it Zoltan Hergzeg has been this season. Before we get to our final thoughts and things, I want to give a big shout out to some of our partners here with Pit Stop TV. Of course, Tucson Sound Art, Your Picture, Your Music. They do a fantastic job helping us. We want to do a fantastic job and help them and tell you to go to TucsonSoundArt.com. At the very least, check them out on Facebook and Instagram. See what they've got to offer. Father's Day is coming up. Who knows? Could be a fantastic gift for dad, and certainly he would want you to save money on it. Use that promo code PitStopTV at checkout for 10% off of your order today. Of course, race pace setups, Le Mans coming up, possibly for some of you guys on the iRacing.com sim. Watkins Glen is coming up as well, Spa. So if you're in the GT racing community, you've got to check out Race Pace for some fantastic GT3 setups, especially with the new build coming out tomorrow. This could pertain perfectly to you if you need some brand new GT3 setups. A lot is changing on those cars. Check them out at Race Pace Setups. Of course, a big shout out to Permanent Makeup at Cryowood, Maine, where you deserve the best care that money can buy, to Whiplash Media, the official graphic and camera provider of Pit Stop TV, and to BAM Racing Videos, by a race fan for the racing community. Emerson, Joe, it was a fantastic race this evening. I can't stress that enough. Final thoughts then as we leave the Iowa Speedway.
Phenomenal show. Phenomenal finish, and again, this track, it does not disappoint. Iowa Speedway was definitely one I was looking forward to on the calendar for quite some time, and man, oh man, this NORC field, again, I say it time and time again, such a great group of drivers, very skilled group of drivers, and they just back it up with a phenomenal show. Can't wait to see what happens next week at Nashville. A little bit tighter, should be a little bit more hectic, but I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I totally agree, Emerson. I think tonight was just a stellar performance. Class A from the field tonight. It was a great show. It was a pleasure to be here, and I think it put on a great broadcast for everybody involved. So, going to be a interesting one to take into Nashville, but we're excited for it. And hey, gotta give a shout out. Today is National Best Friends Day, and I know we haven't really mentioned that yet on the broadcast, but I figured it'd be worth mentioning. You know, you bring your friends in. These guys all obviously are well known with each other here in NORC, and even within us here at Pit Stop TV and them. I've seen some friends in the chat, but gotta keep your friends close because they really do make your life better. And you know, happy National Best Friends Day. Make sure you give a shout out to some of your best friends here. I want to give a quick shout out to all of these guys in the booth. Some really good friends up here, Trey, Emerson, and Andrew. Really appreciate you guys, and you know, yeah, gotta celebrate that. But we'll take that into Nashville next time and should have a stellar performance once again.
Well, Joe, that, among other reasons, is why we keep you around. I had no clue, and that was so wholesome to get that from you, buddy. Certainly a big shout-out to everybody, all of our friends here at Pit Stop TV. Nice little segue there. But I do got to mention real quick, we've got a heck of a schedule coming up still. You've got to stick with us here for the NORC iRacing series on Pit Stop TV. Nashville Fairgrounds next week. That should be fun. Now, I've got to miss that one personally, but I know you guys will hold things down nicely as we head to Nashville. That's going to be fun. Another short track and a new short track. Not the first new track to the schedule. I dare say iRacing Super Speedway was, well, obviously that was new. I think those are the only two new ones so far. Of course, Bristol Dirt will be new later in the season, but I can't wait to see how another track that we have no notes on really goes next week for 175 laps. You see Auto Club there in a couple of weeks, the Talladega Duels in a few weeks as well, Martinsville, Road America, Atlanta, and Legacy Daytona wrap up our run to the chase. Then Indianapolis, Texas, Bristol Dirt, Darlington, Phoenix, Chicagoland, and Las Vegas make up our chase schedule. It was a fun one this evening from the Iowa Speedway, but that will do it from the virtual Newton, Iowa. We're happy to have had you all here for tonight's action, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. Make sure to keep up with us here at Pit Stop TV. We've got a few more broadcasts in the coming week. Of course, the BRP Asphalt Modified Tour tomorrow night from Oxford, Maine. I'm so jealous of you two who get to cover that tomorrow. Gosh, I love Oxford Plains Speedway. It's gonna be fun. I can't wait to see how it goes as guys take to that bull ring. It really is just one big circle up there in the great state of Maine. Can't wait to see how it goes. Of course, Monday night, the VRP iRacing Series Dirt Late Models are back in action, this time from Cedar Lake in Wisconsin. Then, of course, the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway for the NORC iRacing Series in 1 week at 6:40 p.m. Eastern next Tuesday night. Before we go, of course, make sure to follow us here on Pit Stop TV on our various social media platforms. You see them all bottom of your screen there. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, you name it, we're on it just about. Make sure to follow us at those links bottom of your screen. For all of Pit Stop TV, Emerson Arden and Joe Donahue beside me on the mic, Trey Shuttlesworth on our social media coverage. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV. Thank you so much for tuning in this evening. It was a fantastic race. Make sure to come back tomorrow for Modifieds from Oxford. We will see you next time.